An update to the Mexican gray wolf seen wandering New Mexico. You might have read about this. In December, the young female left her pack in southeastern Arizona and traveled through New Mexico, crossing I-25 and I-40 multiple times. That's amazing, as she headed north looking for a mate. Our Land's Laura Paskus has been watching the wolf's progress the past few weeks. She spoke with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Mexican Wolf Recovery Coordinator, Brady McGee, Monday morning when he told her the wolf had been captured over the weekend. Laura asks why the wolf was captured and what might happen next.
Brady McGee, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Appreciate being here. Thank you.
So we're talking Monday morning. Big news is that a female wolf from southeastern Arizona has been making her way through New Mexico the past month or so. Can you give us a little update on where she is and where she's been traveling?
I can give you an update. In fact, we captured her yesterday and moved her to our Sivieta pen. She was traveling up in northeast New Mexico about 90 miles north of I-40, about 15 miles east of Angel Fire, kind of settled in that area, and has been up there for most of the month of January. And so as of yesterday, anytime a wolf moves north of I-40, our protocol is to monitor it for at least 14 days. Let it see if it will move back south of I-40 on its own. Our main recovery program is trying to recover wolves south of I-40. And so any wolves that move north of I-40 are fully protected under the Endangered Species Act. South of I-40, we have 10J population with reduced regulations so that we can more effectively manage wolves, especially a large predator that eats livestock. And so when wolves move north of I-40 and they are attacking livestock, there's nothing landowners can do about it because they're fully protected under the act. And this wolf moved north into an area and settled on private land. And after 14 days, it was pretty obvious it wasn't going to move back down south. And at the request of the landowners, we've captured it, and it's currently in a pen at our Sivieta National Wildlife Refuge.
And so what will happen to her next?
So she will go back out into the wild. We have several different options. She originated in Arizona out of the Prime Canyon Pack. And so one of the things that we are looking at is putting her together with a mate right now and releasing her back out into the wild in April. We could put her back out into the wild in Arizona, or we could translocate her to Mexico and release her into the wild down there. Part of this recovery program is establishing a second population in Mexico, about 150 miles south of the border of the Arizona-New Mexico border. And right now the population down there is about 30 to 40 individuals. So we're really trying to boost the population down there. Our population here in the U.S. is around 200 individuals. And so we're doing fairly good here in the U.S., but we're still trying to bolster the population down there. And so right now she is in captivity. Her genetics are actually not very good. They're pretty redundant. She's pretty inbred. So we are looking at selecting a mate for her that would give us the best genetics and the best contribution in the wild. I'm worried that if we were to just take her and translocate her directly to the wild, that she would, we can't control who she mates with, and she might select somebody that perpetuates bad genetics. And so we are trying to bolster that genetics by selecting a mate for her, and then we will release her back out in the wild in April before she dens and has pups.
So just to back up a little bit, when she left Arizona in December, what was she doing? What was she looking for?
So she is a 1-year-old female that is dispersing from her natal pack, which is pretty common for 1-year-olds. Sometimes the females will stick around till they're 2 years old and kind of help out with the pack and help raise the offspring the next year. But a lot of times, most wolves disperse about 1 year old. They go look for new territories, look for new mates. And so she traveled over 350 miles, crossing New Mexico, moving north up. She actually crossed I-25 near Savieta National Wildlife Refuge, went over towards, crossed the north part of White Sands Missile Range, went over toward the Manzano Mountains, and crossed I-40 a couple of times, just kind of east of the Edgewood area, the East Mountains. And so she was looking for new territories, looking for new mates, and where she landed and established up in northern New Mexico, just east of Angel Fire. There's no other wolves up in that area. It is right now is the prime mating season, and so there was a lot of concerns about her just getting in trouble, connecting or getting together with feral dogs or ranch dogs, or anything like that. So she up in that area, she is not contributing to recovery and is likely to get in trouble. So that's part of the decision of capturing her and moving her back down south into the recovery area.
So we've talked about this sort of I-40 boundary, and as I understand it, south of the boundary, livestock owners can harass or haze wolves away from their livestock. North of I-40, the full protections of the Endangered Species Act prevent that from happening. So how did that I-40 boundary, how was that decided upon?
So under the Endangered Species Act, when we designate a 10J, we have to draw lines on the map. The Endangered Species Act says you got to draw the line somewhere. And most of the time, whenever we do 10J to reintroduce an animal and draw those lines on the map, we draw it around their historic range. And the historic range of the Mexican wolf is south of I-40, all the way down through south central Mexico. So historically, 90% of the Mexican wolf subspecies population occurred in Mexico. And so because of that reason, the boundary was drawn at I-40.
How does the Fish and Wildlife Service try to focus on the recovery of the species with so much controversy on all sides?
It is a very controversial program. I don't know of too many other programs throughout the country that are more controversial. I mean, you got northern grays and grizzly bears, but Mexican wolves are right up there with the most controversial species try to recover, and it makes it very difficult because we're really trying to find the balance of growing a population and also at the same time offsetting the impacts that it has on the livestock industry. And so one of our primary goals of this program is to try to manage and reduce livestock depredations when they do occur through the Southwest. So we've got a number of tools, a number of partners. We partner with Arizona Game and Fish, New Mexico Game and Fish, USDA Wildlife Services, Forest Service, BLM, Park Service. We've got a lot of partners in this program, and each one of them, we're all working together. We're contributing money to range riders, to all sorts of hazing and harassing techniques to prevent depredations. We can't always prevent it. A lot of times we can, though. And so we spend a vast amount of time, effort, energy, staff, personnel, resources to reduce livestock depredations as part of the program. It's one of our primary goals, because without that, we won't have the social tolerance or the tolerance to be able to recover wolves here in the Southwest.
And so do you feel like over the course of the program and by having these measures in place, have ranchers in southwestern New Mexico become more tolerant of wolves?
Some have and some haven't. And I don't think some ever will. But I think there are a number of ranchers out there that we're working with that are altering their operations, that are using our preventative measures, that are trying to really work on ways of offsetting the impacts. And we have a lot of cases where we've got wolves denning with livestock, around livestock, and a lot of packs that are not depredating on livestock. And so a lot of the measures are working. It's never going to be foolproof. There will always, wolves will eat cows. Their primary prey source is elk. And so whenever they are hungry, or if it's easier to kill a cow and they're in that area, they're going to do so. But if we can haze them, harass them, teach them not to, and to stay away from cows, then that's one of our primary goals.
Brady, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking me through this controversial topic.
Sure. Thank you.